Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian, but I play other games as well, and I sometimes also design adventure games, and sometimes I try to do tutorial videos on how to design adventure games, and turns out I'm not really very good at it. But I never claimed I was. I just wanted to show you, how to get started with, Adventure Game Studio in the sort of rambling, amateurish way that I do it. So what I probably should have checked before I uploaded the videos was that my fugly ass face cam was actually obscuring some of the code that you were supposed to type in when you were in the global script. Now, if you recall from the previous episode, we have room number 2, we have the blushing bride on the little pedestal over here, and you're supposed to hand her the plunger that you pick up from one of the parcels. Now, I wrote some code in about how to give her the plunger. I'm just going to quickly go over that again, just so, for completeness sake. The bride is, of course, a character. There she is. There she is. And somewhere in this events list, you have use inventory on character. You click that, you click the 3 little dots over here, and that takes you to the global script. Because all characters, interaction with character has to happen in the global script, because they can exist in multiple rooms, so they're not tied to rooms. And using something on a character involves this little snippet of code here. If, parentheses, the player has the inventory item, 2 equal signs, that makes sense to coders, I don't know how, and then the script name for the inventory item, you have this little thing here, that means now we're supposed to execute some code. We walk the player over to these coordinates, and we have this text box here. Display has this text box, as you probably saw at the end of the previous episode, which just say you throw the plunger at the bride. She now hates you even more. And then the bride has a couple of lines here. That is, of course, her script name dot say, and then parentheses and the quotation marks, and then the dialogue. Quotation marks again, parentheses, and then you end the line. Always end the line with semicolons. And, the players say, haha, I hate it, da, da, da. And then we change the player to the end screen. And I showed you in the previous episode how that works. The end screen is actually just a room with the room number 300. And the character sprite is no longer visible, so it just basically says the end. And then, the game is stuck there forever until you quit it. So that's what I wanted to show you. Now, if you wanted to have... You probably have several inventory items in the game, so let's just pretend that we had... Well, I'm not going to make any, but let's just pretend that we had extra inventory items. Then you would type in... this whole bit has to do with the plunger, right? But what if you had, say, a set of keys? Then you type in else if player active inventory equals keys. Then... we display a text box that says, that's odd, there are no keys in the fucking game. And close that out. And then you just keep going. Like, if you have a third one, you go else, if, and then it just keeps on going. Which, gets out of hand. If you've got a million inventory items and you want to write description for each and every one of them, you're going to end up with a lot of else ifs. There probably is an easier way to do this, but I don't know it. And if you try and use an inventory item on a character and you haven't written a description for it or a reaction to it, then it will just do nothing. It might have depending on what template you're using to build your game, it might have one of those... generic responses that you can define. They're usually in the global script somewhere. Probably up here somewhere. I don't fucking know. I don't think it's here. And if it is, I'm not going to keep looking for it. No, I'm not going to keep looking for it. Fuck it. Sometimes there are generic responses and sometimes they're not. Anyway, I'm glad we got that out of the way. I'm going to try my best in the future to not, obscure the code window with my fugly little face cam, even though that's kind of fun as well. So I thought we might do something interesting in this episode. Just to, give this some sort of rationale for existing in the world. Let's do some dialogue. So if you actually talk to the bride, it engages a dialogue. I might want to put this up again so you can see what the hell I'm doing. Dialogues in the game are written in a dialogue editor, interestingly enough. It's up here under dialogues. Right now there's a template dialogue going on, which just has nothing in it. Cool. Alright, we are going to appropriate this as the dialogue with the bride. If you talk to the bride, you get like a dialogue tree. Now you can pick different responses and stuff. Tried and true thing of adventure games. If you wanted to create a new dialogue tree, you right-click this and go New Dialogue, and you can organize them in folders and all that. Don't care about that. Right now we're just going to give this thing a script name. Hotspots start with an H, characters start with a C, inventory items start with an I, dialogues start with a D. So you go D, bride. Now the game knows that the dialogue you interact with the bride in or whatever is called D, bride. Are there any other options I should be looking at? No. Cool. Okay. So, to engage, let's do this first. I'm kind of doing it in the, a weird order here, but let's just make sure that when you walk up to the bride and try to talk to her, it actually starts the conversation. So we have our character here. As you'll notice in the action thingy here, talk to character, nothing actually happens. Yet. So we click on these guys, and we walk the player up to, the podium. And we can just copy the walk coordinates from when you try and use the plunger. There you go. And we start the dialogue. Which is a very formal way of, walking up to her and going, "May I please initiate this dialogue with you, snooty bitch." The command for that is D, the script name, D bride, start, 2 parentheses for no fucking reason, and a semicolon. Boom! There you go. The parentheses are apparently because you can put in some parameters for the dialogue. I don't fucking know. It's, most dialogue trees in adventure games are used to, provide hints or, tell a person, "I have done what you fetch quested me, so here is the thing that you have fetch quested," and you can, select that from a dialogue option. Whatever. You can just have conversations with characters. And these are fun, but they're not usually, maybe sometimes you have, a dialogue puzzle where you have to convince a character or something by picking the, the right things from the dialogue tree. Let's say, the ending of Day of the Tentacle. You have to convince Purple Tentacle to shoot Dr. Fred instead of shooting you. All of this stuff. This is what dialogue trees are for. This is what dialogue trees are for. Fuck, I should be not teaching classes. Anyway, now we get to actually write our dialogue. Now, the syntax for this is a bit like writing a movie script, actually, which is, suits me fine. But remember in I can't remember if it was the last or the one after that episode where I was talking about characters that have script names, but they also have in-game names. And this is where the in-game names come in. You see, let's see, our good little friend, the bride here, has, if I go over to her properties, she has the real name, that's what it's called, the real name Bridey, but her script name is C Bride. Now, the script name is used in the global script and the room scripts, but the real name is used when you make dialogues. Don't ask me why. That's just the way things roll around here. So, right now, as you can see, nothing fucking happens. These are just comments, boom. That's fine. So we start by, creating a new option. Boom. Now, notice what happens. We get a 1 here, and we get an S here. And we get 2 commands that say return. I'm going to go, one by one on these. Don't get flustered. The S, anything I put in here, this little bit here, anything I put in here is going to be said by the characters immediately when starting the dialogue, before the options appear. So I can have Ego, that's her script name, say, "Hi, how you doing?" And Bridey will say, "Fuck you." And then return. Now notice what I did here. I type in the real name of the character. It turns a funny cyan color with a colon, and then I just, type out what they're supposed to say. Easy. And the same goes with Bridie. Bridie, I just type in her real name, colon, and then what she's going to say. And this is, this is how dialogue writing works. Okay, and then you have a script command that says return. Return means go in and see if there are any options to pick. Cool. So it would make sense to, after they've just said, hi, how you doing? Fuck you. It would go in and see if there are any options to pick. Otherwise, that would be a very weak dialogue tree. So, let's have the first thing that you can say to the bride is, that's not very nice, bitch. These are very combative people. These people don't like each other. So we're really getting into, we have to write for our characters. We have to get into it. Bitch. I've now created that option. That's not very nice, bitch. These two things over here, show means that the dialogue option is visible when you start the dialogue. That's gonna make sense in a while. Don't worry about that right now. You want that checked. Say means that once the player clicks on it, then the in-game character will actually say the line that you've written here. That's not very nice, bitch. You can choose to not have that and then, write a different opening line so that the player, in the little window where you pick your dialogue options, it says that's not very nice, bitch, but once you click on it, Ego in fact says, I don't appreciate your tone, bitch. Let's not do that. Anyway, so in reality, you pick one thing, but she says another. Fucking forget. Oh, Elsa. Elsa was her name. Yeah. She probably renamed the character. Yeah, Elsa will then say, I don't appreciate your tone, instead of that's not very nice. And Bridie will respond with, and nor I yours. Apparently she's Shakespearean or something. Cool. And then return. And now it goes back to the dialogue list. So we create a new thing. Don't worry. I know what you're thinking. Those of you who've played with AGS before, why didn't he clear the option from the list? Don't worry, we're going to get to that in just a second. Let's just have two options right here. The second one is, why are you so mean to me? And hold on a sec, this is going to make sense. We create a third option that just says, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Bye. Cool. Now, we've got a dialogue tree here, obviously. When you start the dialogue, you're going to have a selection of 3 responses. However, let's do something cool. Let's say that when you start the dialogue, you actually only can say, that's not very nice. And once you've said that, and Bridie says, I don't appreciate your tone either, then option number 2 becomes available. It's hidden at first, but then it becomes available after you've said the first one. This is what the show thing is for. So I click that off, number 2. That means it's not going to be visible when you start the dialogue. I do, however, want her to say it, and I also want her to say number 3. So when I click on that, the character actually says, I don't want to talk to you, or why are you so mean to me? Cool. So let's start with, if you select the first option, I don't appreciate your tone, then we take away the option, because you don't want to say the same thing twice, so we say option dash off 1. That means that's a script command that says turn off the first option, so it's no longer visible during this dialogue. Now, if you get out of the dialogue and go back in, then it becomes visible again. So you can pretty much start all over. If you want to, set a complete, never ever, this is a one-time dialogue option. It should never reappear, no matter how many times I restart the conversation. You put in option off dash forever. And that turns it off forever. No matter how many times you go out and back into the dialogue, it'll never show up again. But we do want to keep it in, so we're just going to say option off, and then it will reappear if you restart the dialogue. We also want it to turn on the second option. Why are you so mean to me? So, and you probably guessed it, option dash on 2. Boom. So now it turns off it turns off the first option, and then it turns on the second option. Now we just have to write some dialogue in. Remember, she actually, in the game, she will say, "Why are you so mean to me?" So we don't need to write that again. We just need to write in the bride's response, which is going to be, "I don't like you. What are you doing at my wedding?" And Ego says, I don't want to write anything long here. So he says, "I don't have to answer that. I'm going to take you down. Bitch." Right, cool. And at this point, it probably wouldn't make sense to, you know, keep the dialogue going, but it is going to return to the dialogue tree. We should probably turn this off, this option, because you don't want to say the same, again, you don't want to say the same thing twice. So we turn that one off, and then it returns to the list, and you know, for those of you keeping track at home, that means that option 1 is no longer visible, and option 2 is no longer visible. That only leaves option 3. Excuse me, colon. So AGS will then automatically play the third option, which is the one that we want to use to get out of the conversation. So let's just have a quick snide remark from the bride that says, "Good," and then it should stop the conversation. It should return you to the game, as it were. Now, the command return goes back to look for what's in here, and if there aren't any options available, it'll just get stuck. So that's why you want to put in stop. That's the command that terminates the dialogue tree. Now, you could also put that in after you've selected the second one. Just go stop. That'll stop the conversation tree after you've selected the second option. So we have the third option in here if you, for some reason, want to stop the dialogue before time. Before it is time. I don't know what that's called in English. Anyway, you know what I mean. So let's save that and go test it out. There were compilation errors. Cool! That means that Bride's script name, real name is not cool. So let's have a look at that. Let's see. Well, fuck me, I done goofed. Well, there's going to be a lot of angry people out there. People are going to say, "This guy has no idea what the hell he's doing," and you're absolutely right. The game will now compile and run, and I should just quickly point out my huge, unforgivable mistake. The whole bit about the real name, let's just go over to the character here. The whole thing about the real name being too long and it not recognizing her as a character, I was completely wrong. It's not using the real name. It is, in fact, using the script name, but without the C in front of it. You see how I got confused there? No, well, not really, but anyway. So actually, you're supposed to type in Bride because that's her script name. Her script name is really C Bride, but you omit the C and just type in Bride. Whatever the fuck it uses real name for, I have no idea at this point. So now she's just Bridey. Cool, fuck it. So anyway, let's test this thing out. Sorry for the error, but you know, I'm not good at this. So let's go. First of all, let's just speed things up a bit here. There you go. Boom! Zoom in! That's not zooming! That's very slow. Anyway, cool. Let's go have a chat with her. Boy, the transparency. I mean, the professionalism oozing from this shit is just staggering. Okay, cool. Hey, Bridey. Let's have a talk with her. I keep, using the right mouse button to, switch between icons, but you can also do that from up here. Let's have a talk. She will move into position and start the dialogue. Hi, how you doing? Fuck you! And as you can see, we only have two options here. That's not very nice, bitch, or I don't want to talk to you anymore, bye. The last one is, of course, just to exit the dialogue without actually going through all of it. But I'll just put in, I don't appreciate your tone. See, she skipped the actual thing that you wanted. Nor I yours. Cool. Why are you so mean to me? And now she actually says the thing that we typed in. I don't like you. What are you doing at my wedding? I don't have to answer that. I'm going to take you down. Bitch. And then it stopped right there. Now, if I start the dialogue again, it'll just start. Well, actually, I turned off the option. Oh my god, this is the worst tutorial ever. You shouldn't listen to me. In fact, if you start it over again, the options that I turned off are no longer visible. So she just says the third option here, which is I don't want to talk to you anymore, bye. So I should probably, if I want to restart the dialogue, you have to turn the first option on again. Here we go. And the dialogue stops, so we talk to her again. And we can restart the dialogue. Cool. Now I don't want to talk to her anymore. And let's just finish the game. This has been the worst tutorial on AGS ever. There's a lot of misinformation, and I'm not very good at this. Now, you probably can't use this as a tutorial as much as it's just an insight into how incredibly bad I am at making games. So I hope you find that interesting at the very least. So I do pardon all the, glaring misinformation. I think I got it right at the end. But as my friend Blue Screen Jason pointed out, this is more of a Let's Play adventure game studio than it is a real tutorial, and that's actually exactly what it is. So I probably will, but I should be getting back to actually playing games instead of messing around with this. At this point, you now know how to create backgrounds, create sprites, have them move around, how to pick up things, adding to inventory, starting dialogues, and ending games. The only thing we haven't really covered are objects, so I predict there's going to be one more of these, and then I'm just going to call it quits. That will be my end of the Let's Play Adventure Game Studio for Dipshits series. Unless someone really, really wants to see me make a complete fool of myself for a fifth time. So anyway, thank you for watching. I am the Space Quest Historian, a terrible game designer and a terrible person. Like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do. But do leave me a comment. I love the comments. Also the comments that say how awful I am. So thank you, and I will see you around the Chrono Stream.